this racetrack could talk, man, the stories it would tell. Hi, I'm Brandon Reed from Raceweek Illustrated, where we're here in Jefferson, Georgia at Gresham Motorsports Park, getting ready for 4 days of coverage of the 28th Annual World Crown 300. Now, this racetrack originally opened in 1967 as Jeffco Speedway. It was a NASCAR-sanctioned track. It operated as such for the next few years, and then NASCAR left. And over the years, the track was looking for its place. In 1983, it found it when they ran the very first World Crown 300 here at this track, which was then known as Georgia International Speedway. Drivers came from all over the country to race for the title of King of the Short Tracks, and more importantly at the time, a $50,000 purse. Dick Trickle won that first race, pocketed the $50,000 and said in victory lane, "I'm not a king, I'm a race car driver." The next year, Gary Hot Shoe Ballou would come through to win the race and become the second driver to win the World Crown. Over the years, drivers from all over the country have come here to these Jefferson High Banks to try to win this race. Guys like Ronnie Sanders, Mike Eddy. Darrell Waltrip won this thing twice. He was the first multiple winner of the World Crown. Over the years, this is where drivers have come to prove that they are the best of the best.
When I won it, and I guess it was 2000, it was, the biggest win of my career, and it's still the biggest win of my career. I was here for the first one back in '83 when Trickle and all the heroes showed up. And, just dreaming about driving a race car, and then I finally got to do it, and to win the biggest race in my home state, it just didn't get no better than that.
If you have any doubt as to how important this race is, all you've got to do is look at the past winners. You've got guys like Russell Fleeman from Tequila, Georgia. Last year, Justin Wakefield won. But just look at somebody like Paul Kelly. Paul Kelly is the king of the World Crown with unprecedented four World Crown wins, including one in the first World Crown held on the redone track as Gresham Motorsports Park, and it was probably the most improbable one. He had run third and won the race in the tech shed when the first and second place cars failed post-race inspection. So it's not just about what happens here on the racetrack, it's also about what happens back behind the scenes.
Oh, to me, the only thing that comes close to it's a snowball derby, in my opinion. That's why a lot of the things we put together this year is to try and get it to that level of an all-star show, which, if you go back and look at the history book back in '83, it was an all-star show. You had Rusty Wallace, Dick Trickle, Gary Blue, Mike Eddy, Bob Seneca, all the heroes were here. If you was short track racer back in the '80s and you didn't know them cats, you're sleeping under a rock somewhere. So that's where we want to get it back to, is to have a full field of all-stars.
This is the one chunk of real estate in Jefferson, Georgia that everybody is going to want to be the first one to at the end of the day on November 13th. This is the start-finish line here at Gresham Motorsports Park. But before they can get to this line and wear the crown at the end of the day, they're going to have to survive turn one. Now, that has been a treacherous part of this racetrack for many years. When the track used to be Peach State Speedway, we saw several multiple car crashes over in that turn during the running of the crown. A couple of years we saw guys go completely out of the ballpark. Back in 2009, when this race was first run on the track now known as Gresham Motorsports Park, Bubba Pollard put his car on its lid down into turn one, and last year we saw a multi-car crash on the 8th lap that eliminated the hopes and dreams of several guys who were running for the crown. So before you can get to this start-finish line and enjoy a trip to victory lane, you've got to survive turn one.
I'm not sure what year it was. It was probably 2004, the year Frederick won. I think we had 55 cars show up for the deal that year. And then to have my little brother win, that was a pretty sweet deal. For me and Frederick to be the only two that's ever been able to accomplish that, that's a pretty good deal.
Now, I could sit here all day and tell you about how great this race is, but the best thing to do is to come out here and see it. Once you've come out to this racetrack and once you've seen the World Crown, you'll understand why this race is so special and why it's so important, not only to the drivers, but to all the people that have been here over the 28 years. You know, these guys that will race out here November 13th will be racing in the tire tracks of greatness, trying to match some of the big names in racing.
I think, you know, the fans this year are going to see something like, you know, they've never seen before. I mean, you know, that's where we come up with the format deal, is to make it exciting, to where you don't just get out there and ride around for 300, you know, 250 laps and then come get you 4 tires and then race like crazy. You know, if that's what we're going to do, it's sort of like Tony Stewart said on TV the other day after Talladega, let's make it a 25-lap race. That's what we did. You know, they got to race hard, and they got to race hard the whole 200 laps. Because if you're the hero, if you're Bubba Pollard and you get out in the lead that first 100, you're going to lap as many cars as you can lap. If you're not Bubba Pollard or one of the heroes that jumps out front, you're going to do everything you can do to stay on that lead lap. Because if you ain't on the lead lap, you ain't got a shot at the big money come that last 25. And, you know, 25 laps for $10,000, that's unheard of in this business.
So my best advice to you is to go ahead, get your tickets, and get out here for the 28th annual Ream World Crown 300. Weekend runs November 10th through the 13th right here on the Jefferson High Banks at Gresham Motorsports Park. For Raceweek Illustrated, I'm Brandon Reed. We'll see you at the races.